Hi, and welcome to our webinar, Listen Your Way into a Gift, Virtual Conversations with Donors. My name is Pearl Hoagland, and I am the Senior Program Manager for the Sanford Institute of Philanthropy. I am pleased to be your moderator today. You've got a cause, learn how to fund it. The Sanford Institute of Philanthropy provides emerging fundraisers with the tools and skills to build authentic relationships with their donors through a relationship-driven fundraising approach. We would like to take a second to recognize our affiliate partners who provide trainings around the country. Take a look at the map to find an institute in your community. Now I am pleased to introduce today's presenter, Jack Alotto. Throughout his career, Jack has served in a variety of fundraising positions in hospital, social service, and the arts as executive director, development director, major gift and legacy giving manager, and foundation and corporate relations manager. Jack has taught a variety of fundraising classes at the Center for Volunteer and Nonprofit Leadership, where he was on the faculty of the Excellence in Leadership program. Additionally, Jack previously served as a member of the board and taught and managed the Association of Fundraising Professionals Golden Gate Chapter's CFRE review class. Jack is also a CFRE California ambassador. Jack has been a trainer for the Sanford Institute of Philanthropy in the Bay Area since our program launched in that region. Jack's primary role was that of instructor in the Fundraising Academy and in the newly launched Cause Selling series. He has served on panels in ethics and fundraising, cause selling, and donor loyalty. He has moderated panels on strategies for building a strong major gifts program, trends and strategies for nonprofit fundraising, and stewardship and cultivating donors. In addition, Jack has taught fundraising basics, cause selling, and major gift modules at the Fundraising Academy since 2018. Welcome, Jack.
Thank you, Pearl. I really appreciate that introduction. Today, our topic is need discovery, how to question and listen effectively. One of the main topics of cause selling is building relationships with prospects and donors. And in order to do that, we need to know their needs, their motivations, their passions before we can even ask for a gift. This segment is devoted to the art of asking questions and listening effectively to the answers as part of that cause selling phase known as need discovery. The cause selling cycle won't work without its heart, and that's the need discovery phase. And need discovery is the heart of this process because it allows you to uncover a donor's underlying motivations, needs, and priorities. The right questions and active listening skills will help you carry through the relationship building process from the pre-ask meeting to the solicitation and throughout the stewardship process. You don't ask your way into a gift, you listen your way into a gift. Here are our objectives today. Understand the central role of need discovery in the cause selling cycle. Review questioning techniques and the questions every donor needs to answer, and learn effective techniques for developing genuine listening skills. Need discovery is the central role in building authentic connections with donors and prospects, and now in a virtual landscape, it is even more important. What is fundraising? It's a simple question, and depending on who you ask, the answers will vary. Some say it's about our mission to feed the poor, house the homeless, healthcare for the underserved. They're right, but it's also very much about the donor. In fact, it's way more about the donor and much less about your mission or your program. Once you internalize this very important truth, it will change the way you approach your work. Your job will become less about meeting pressing needs and more about inspiring others in a personal and impactful way. At its core, fundraising is engaging donors and learning what they do, how they do it, why they do it, who they do it with, and find the answers to those things that you can align with what matters most to them and your cause. And this is known as the exchange principle. The problem created by the misconception that fundraising is telling as many people as possible about our cause lies in its assumption that every donor gives for the same few reasons. And there is some universal pitch that will resonate with anyone who has a heart for your cause. In reality, each prospect, each donor has a unique motivation for giving. This means that of the many areas you could highlight, only a few will be key motivators for a particular donor. The challenge for us is to determine their specific giving criteria and then highlight those that address their distinct passions. Donors are way more likely to remain engaged if a presentation is tailor-made for them and their priorities. Need discovery is that step in the cause selling cycle in which a fundraiser questions a prospective donor or a current donor who you want to move to a higher giving level using a series of planned, practiced questioning techniques and active listening skills to elicit answers that will reveal a prospect's motivation for giving. Need discovery is the foundation for a successful ask. Telling prospects that they need to give is old school fundraising, and it doesn't work anymore. Cause selling professionals don't beg or convince, they bring prospects and donors into the discussion. Successful conversations with donors contain more requests for opinions and suggestions and fewer statements of opinion or fact sheet style talking points. We want you to develop questioning techniques that build trust, and we want you to be able to ask questions every donor needs to answer. And before the end of this webinar, we want you to develop genuine listening skills. How to ask good questions. So there are two types of questioning techniques: closed-ended questions and open-ended questions. Have you ever given to this organization? That's a closed-ended question. It's a closed-ended question because the answer is either yes or no. An open-ended question would be, I would love to hear more about why you give to our organization. A closed-ended question might be, have you felt appreciated as a donor in the past? Open-ended questions help the fundraiser and the prospect to sort out ideas and begin to make decisions. Can you give me examples of open-ended questions and closed-ended questions? You could stop the video, write those down, and give us your examples. There are two basic categories, as I've said, closed-ended and open-ended questions. Some questions, closed-ended questions, can be used as warm-up questions. It could be a question like, have you ever given to this organization? Have you felt appreciated as a donor in the past? These are warm-up questions, but they are generally closed-ended questions as well. Do you know any of our board members? Is our organization among your top 3 philanthropic priorities? What motivates you to give? How would you like us to communicate with you? Closed-ended questions can help reveal background information in order to further qualify the donor. They are useful tools to help you gain commitment, to get the right people involved in the process, such as, would you like to meet on Friday to discuss your gift? Or is it Monday of next week better? Are you solely responsible for making the decision, or should we include others in this conversation? Questions with a predictable, short response may be used as a substitute for telling the prospect something. That's those did you know questions. And later on, when Pearl and I role play, I want you to pay attention and tell me if you could hear those questions that I'm asking. Open-ended questions are inquiries with no defined answer that allow prospects plenty of room to reply as they wish. And actually, open-ended questions enable the person giving the answer a more opportunity to tell you way more about themselves than a closed-ended question. They call for explanations. That's what an open-ended question does. Use them when you want the prospect to talk freely. You can encourage the prospect to verbalize feelings by asking questions that begin with, what do you think? How do you feel? How did you feel when you saw those vulnerable babies in our hospital? Talking out loud often helps clarify and organize their thoughts. And it helps you to understand their motivations, passions, interest in your organization, and then relationships happen. And that's the goal. Open-ended questions help you and the prospect sort out ideas and begin to make decisions. And then the relationship deepens. Open-ended questions, personal questions. What are you most passionate about? Why are you passionate about that? If you had a family slogan, what would it be? How would you describe your personal mission? If you could change the world, what would you do? What makes you hopeful and happy? What makes you unhappy? I would urge you to pause the webinar and ask some open-ended questions based on the work that you do in your community. Some other personal questions might be, and also keep in mind not to be too intrusive, but it might be, what do you like best about our organization? And over the next 3 slides, we'll see examples of questions that give prospects the freedom and responsibility to express their own thoughts and use their own information in the decision-making process. Here are some open-ended questions around philanthropic-centered questions. What was the most rewarding experience you've ever had as a donor? How do you feel when you make a gift? What do you believe would most transform this particular situation or issue? Which other organizations effectively address this cause? What impact are you trying to make through your philanthropy? Again, you can pause the webinar here and give examples of other philanthropic centered questions that you might use in your particular organization. Cause-specific questions. Cause-specific questions might be, and these again are open-ended questions, what is about our mission that speaks to you? Why now in particular? What interests you most about our organization and why? What are you looking for in your relationship with our organization? How do you think our organization is perceived in the greater community? What would it take for an organization to become higher on your priority list of causes? Again, you could pause the webinar and give examples of other cause-specific questions as they relate specifically to your organization. Here are some questioning techniques that we like. The first one is clarification questions. Questioning techniques. There are 3 types of questioning techniques: clarification questions, summary questions, and agreement questions. For the questions you ask are best classified by their intended purpose. For that reason, we're going to separate questions into 3 basic purposes: clarification, summary, and agreement. Either open-ended or closed-ended questions may be used for these 3 purposes. Clarification questions include things like, prospects don't always make themselves crystal clear. They may wander off the subject or stop talking before you can fully appreciate their point. Clarification techniques ask the prospect to expand or to explain the meaning of a statement and help identify the frame of reference used. For example, if you're meeting with a group of people around homeless veterans, you might ask a question like, as I understand it, would you like to meet some of the veterans we've helped in ending their homelessness? There are four types of clarification techniques. One is the double click, two is silence, and silence is where when you ask a question, you be quiet and not continue to talk. Nonverbal clues, and here's the other thing. In this virtual world, when we're meeting with donors and prospects virtually, there are still nonverbal clues. For example, head nodding, leaning forward, shows that you are listening and you're paying attention, especially in a virtual world. Summary questions are designed to get prospects to consider and agree on your interpretation of a situation. You assimilate the information provided and then ask if your summary is correct. This is most easily done by paraphrasing all or part of the prospect's responses in the form of a question and asking for confirmation. The underlying purpose of asking questions, agreement questions especially, is to determine whether the prospect has a problem or need that your organization is capable of addressing. State the problem in your own words and then get the prospect to agree. Yes, that's it. You can't move on from this phase until you have identified and agreed upon the problem or areas of greatest concern to the prospect or donor. Bring the formal statement of the problem by using phrases such as, let me attempt to summarize what I've heard from you. As I understand it, here are the problems we must solve through our work together. Based on your answers to my questions, I see the urgent issue as, after you pinpoint the problem, seek confirmation. Get the prospect to agree by following your summary of the problem with questions like, if I show you comparisons that demonstrate how our research projects have the highest rates of patient improvement in the field and help more people with every dollar spent than any other wellness research foundation, would you commit to our program? If I can satisfactorily demonstrate a solution to your concerns, would it be enough to earn your support? If the person agrees with the problem statement, you are ready to present the specific programs, projects, or initiatives that can solve the stated problem. Even if the prospect disagrees with your summary of the problem, you have both learned by sharing information. Place the responsibility of understanding on yourself rather than the prospect or donors. Questions like, do you understand what I said? Does that make sense? And are you with me? Imply that the prospect is not intelligent. Even if a prospect doesn't understand, no one would never answer yes to a question like, do you understand? Instead, take responsible for any confusion by asking something like, what areas should we cover one more time? The point of these three techniques is to continuously check for agreement and understanding before you continue. Cause selling is more than a process in which two people sit together in a room and take turns talking. A successful ask is built on a foundation of understanding and agreement. Okay, now Pearl and I are going to do some role playing. And as you listen to this role play, please consider the following. What did you notice? What went well? So let me start by giving you some background information on the relationship that Pearl and I are building. So I'm the Director of Development at Boise General Hospital. Pearl is a potential major donor. This is her second meeting via Zoom with me. Our previous meeting was initiated by a hospital board member, a friend of Pearl's. And during our first meeting, we were just introduced to each other by the board member. At that meeting, I invited Pearl to take a virtual tour of the hospital with me. Now, remember, this is the age of COVID, so virtual engagement with prospects and donors is really a very big thing. So please write down anything you notice and what went well. And after we're done, I'm going to ask you to identify the open and closed-ended questions I asked Pearl. What clarifying questions did I ask? What agreement questions did I ask of Pearl? And what should I do next? So, Jack is going to be the first speaker. So, Pearl, what did you think of our hospital?
I didn't realize that Boise Hospital was so big. It's a beautiful hospital, and the patients seem really well cared for.
Of the departments we toured, I think we toured ER, OBGYN, neonatal intensive care unit, and our oncology department. Which of those departments did you find most interesting?
As a mom, I have to say I was interested in the OB department. The intensity of service, though, in the ER was amazing. So I think looking back, the ER was the most interesting place, and it's a trauma unit.
Did you think, as you watched the intensity of service in the ER, was there anything in particular which struck you?
It was the pace, the 12 ER bays, ambulances coming in and out. It was just impressive. And I couldn't stop thinking that if I ever have to go to the ER, hopefully not, I hope they bring me here because I know I'll be taken care of and I won't just be a number.
I hear that quite a bit. People say to me all the time, I don't want to come to the ER, but if I have to come to the ER, I want it to be a good one. How do you think the community sees the work of our hospital?
Honestly, I have no idea.
What else do you think we should do to get that word out? Since maybe we are failing at getting our message out. Not everyone can come and visit the hospital virtually like you did. Are there any recommendations you would give us to get that work out so that they could see our work in a more intimate way like you have?
You know, that's a great question. I would say for me, it was just the connection with your board member. Being able to have that personal connection was really critical for me. You hear about hospital services, but being able to better understand and actually see what you're doing allows folks to connect more, at least in my perspective and
So,
experience.
so it sounds like, help me understand this, that introduction, you knowing our board member was really important for you to get a basic understanding of the hospital.
Absolutely.
Great. What else do you, when you think of the organizations that you and your partners support, what stands out?
We want to help people. We want to see that impact, supporting people, children, those who don't have the resources to get adequate care in every facility. That's really what stands out to us.
So it's really important to you that children are cared for, especially disadvantaged children.
Yeah, definitely.
Great. So, do you know we never refuse service to anyone because of their inability to pay? What do you think about that?
I did not know that. And I think that is critical, especially right now, to ensure that folks have the medical resources and care that they need in a place that provides quality care. We applaud that.
Great. When you and your partner make gifts to other nonprofits, what are you trying to accomplish?
You know, that's a great question. For me, I would say I like to know that my contribution has impact. I love data. I like to see that impact. My partner and I are both very concerned about patient experience too. Do they feel protected, taken care of, or do they feel like a number? My partner is a doctor, and they're very interested in learning about the actual medical practices and innovations. But I'd say for both of us, in addition to all of this, it's important to us that the organizations and hospitals or medical institutions we support, that they value their own people too and take care of them. Because ultimately, the folks who work for these institutions are going to take great care of their patients, and they need that support as well.
So it sounds to me that you are looking at the patients and you want to make sure that the hospital provides good care to the patients, but those frontline workers like physicians, nurses, etc., are also cared for by the hospital in terms of what their needs are.
Absolutely, that is exactly right.
Great. What additional thoughts or questions do you have regarding Boise General?
For me, I would just like to continue to learn more. I know my partner is very interested in more of the innovations, but for me, if you have testimonials, I imagine we probably can't meet the patients, but any information you have that would allow me to better understand the experience of going through the services that the hospital provides would really help bring that clarity for me.
So maybe what I could provide you with next are patient stories. And
I
of
would
course,
love that.
great. And of course, they won't be the real names or addresses, etc. But maybe some patient scenarios. Like, I don't know if you know, last week we had a 2-year-old who fell in the driveway of his home and came here unconscious. And we typically transport children to Boise Children's Hospital, but we had to provide immediate service to that child before we could transport him. So I'm thinking maybe stories around children, some adults. You're really interested in the ER. That was the story I just told you about the ER. So I will look forward to, we'll have a third conversation when you're available, a third virtual conversation. And we'll talk more about the intensity of service and some stories around the emergency room and other departments that you liked in the hospital. Thanks so much, Pearl, for meeting with us. We so appreciate your concern about the community, and I look forward to speaking to you again.
Thank you.
So pause the webinar and ask yourself some things. What did you notice about the conversation? Identify open and closed-ended questions that I asked Pearl. Identify uh, clarifying questions or agreement questions or clarification questions, anything around those. And please do send your comments to us. If you think there was something that you heard that was off, let us know, and we could do that. So moving on, one of the best things that I love, and this is happening really strongly right now, is ask for advice and you'll get money. And I don't see anywhere else where this is more strongly illustrated than right now during our presidential campaign. In fact, every day you get lots of surveys from politicians, you get questions, focus groups, etc. And one of the things that I really like about this is that as we are working in a virtual reality, one of the things that you can do is that you can ask for advice via a virtual mechanism. And you know that what is easier in a virtual world? Is there a problem that your organization is wrestling with? Ask for advice. One of the things I could have asked Pearl was, Pearl, we're very concerned about COVID-19 and the spread of it. Do you have any suggestions? What do you think about COVID-19? Any suggestions on how we might deal with that problem? Have you heard anything? This is an open-ended question that elicits the kind of response and buy-in you need more than any other. It is simple and even better, it has almost universal application. So some advice questions are, what are your impressions of? It's an easy, gentle opening to find out a donor's current level of understanding about a problem. Even if there's silence after you ask this question, do not say another word until the prospect or donor responds. The question has endless possibilities. You can get as specific as you want or keep it more generalized. Like, what do you think about how we are helping homeless individuals? How are we doing? How is Boise General Hospital doing? It is designed to encourage donors to stop and digest what has been said so far, contribute to the conversation, and help direct the next line of questioning. So here are some key donor questions. The motivation question. Why are you passionate about what we do? The success question. What do you want to achieve? I love this question of asking prospects, and it's sort of like open-ended question that enables them to go wherever they want. What do you want to accomplish with your giving? That's what this question is. What do you want to achieve by making a gift to a nonprofit? The frustration question. What do you want to avoid? The right fit question. What helps you to decide which organizations to support? And finally, the commitment question. How involved do you want to be in making this change happen? The right questions don't just help you, they help prospects convey to you in the most direct way how to cultivate them as donors. Not to mention utilizing these questions towards the beginning of your meeting with a new prospect will reveal the best course of action to take for the remainder of your interactions. Think back to my conversation with Pearl. What questions helped me to understand better what she wanted to do and what would be my next step? The following are key questions that cause selling fundraisers should be asking. The motivation question. Why are you passionate about what we do? This question focuses the discussion on a donor motivations. Donors may be passionate about one or more anchors to their giving. Can you tell me what anchors Pearl had to her giving? Such as particular groups. Did she have a particular group she was most interested in? Could be women, could be children. Problems, disease, hunger, places, their community, their college alma mater, programs, mentoring, research, or philosophies, social entrepreneurship, innovation. Their motivations might be personal, driven by their unique experience or family values, or they may be more rational. Every donor and prospect has their own source of motivational giving. One of the things that I heard from Pearl was that her partner was a physician. So that was a motivation for giving that physicians, nurses, and other staff are taken care of by the hospital. Success questions. What do you want to achieve? What inspires what inspires you to give to causes? What causes are most likely to get your attention? What do you want your gifts to accomplish? If a nonprofit that you support were to be widely successful, what would that do for you? The frustration questions are questions that give a more complete picture of the prospect when paired with the success questions. It allows you to see the full spectrum of the donor motivation, from the things that inspire them to give to the things they want to see changed or eliminated in the world. Hunger, homelessness, disadvantaged children's health care. The right fit questions. What happens when you decide which organization to support? I'm sorry, what helps you decide which organizations to support? This question can reveal the prospect's expectation, or in other words, what they expect in return for giving a gift. This is a very donor-centric question. What's in it for me if I donate to this organization? Here are some variations of that question. How do you choose which nonprofits to support? What do you have to see or know about an organization in order for you to make a significant commitment? What would an organization need to show you after you've made a gift to convince you that you've made a wise investment? When you think about organizations you have supported, what did you like best about their work? And why was that work important to you? Thinking of organizations you have supported in the past? Tell me about a great experience you had following your donation. You can ask open questions about mission, vision, work, and priorities. For example, limited healthcare. In what ways did this issue impact you, your family, or neighbors? That was a question I could have asked Pearl when she talked about children's health care for disadvantaged children. I could have said to her, Pearl, in what ways has this issue impacted you, your family, your neighbors, your beliefs, or your values? Philanthropy and giving interest. Which other organizations you currently support are your top three and why? Attitude and values. To what extent does the mission, vision, and values of Boise General Hospital dovetail with your beliefs? How so? And then questions about the commitment question or readiness to make a gift. We would like to come and speak with you over the next few weeks about an investment in Boise Hospital. Who should be part of that conversation? Many of the donors you meet are new to philanthropy. Major donors, grantors, corporate partners, foundation partners are as skilled at selecting their beneficiaries as the best fundraisers are at securing gifts. You may be asking them to add your cause to their already expansive philanthropic portfolio. So you must be as diplomatic as possible when asking the right fit questions in order to engage the prospect's trust and not be disparaging of another organization. It is also beneficial at this point to do some homework and become familiar with some of the previous gifts made by the prospective donor to other organizations. Then, at the appropriate moment, you can offer a sincere compliment about the impact that the individual is already making through their own donations. The commitment question is a question about how involved do you want to be in making this change happen. This is testing their readiness to give. Some donors want to write a check right then and there. Pearl did not seem to me like she wanted to write a check right then and there. Some want to feel the warm glow of giving and move on to the next cause. Didn't see that with Pearl. She wanted more information. Others want to give more than money and will offer their expertise and networks to benefit your shared mission. This question can help you assess their desired level of engagement and uncover their skills and influences that you can utilize to strengthen your organization's efforts. So, as we've been saying, need discovery lays the groundwork for the presentation and the ask. Ask thoughtful questions to get to the heart of what drives your donors and prospects. Listening is a critical skill. So, on a note paper, develop a list of questions you will need to ask prospects and donors that will help you continue to qualify them and help inform the remaining steps of the cause selling cycle. What questions will help you begin to craft your presentation and ask? What questions will help you uncover potential roadblocks? What information gaps do you have? And what questions will help clarify those gaps? And please feel free to send me those ideas. And of course, I want to thank you for allowing me to present this needs discovery with you. And you could reach me at this email address.
Thank you so much for a great webinar. It was fun to be the donor for a bit for you. For those who are watching, we invite you to visit our website to view a full list of our live and on-demand video library. You can just click this link in the PowerPoint to activate our entire on-demand video library and check out the webinars that we have. We also want to thank all of you for tuning in. We hope that this webinar was impactful and helps you as you continue to craft intentional questions to ask your prospects and donors and to ultimately increase revenue for your organizations. Thank you again, and we hope you have a great day.